Thank you to Gobeshona Global Conference and the International Centre for Climate Change and Development for inviting me to address your conference. I am delighted to join you today at the start of a week of what will be deep consideration and thought. We are here as a global community facing the global challenge of climate change, and we'll hear over the coming days how locally led adaptation and resilience can help rise to this challenge. The recent IPCC report was a stark reminder of the urgency of our task, showing that climate impacts across the globe are even more severe than we previously understood. That means our window of opportunity to act, to reduce emissions and to adapt to the changes that are locked in, that gap is narrowing. The losses and damages resulting from impacts that we have not prepared for will increase with every degree of warming. And of course, some losses are now not only inevitable, but are well underway. People are suffering right now. The message of the IPCC was clear. We are not yet doing enough. The global challenge to scale up action on adaptation applies in Scotland too. Of the climate hazards that we face here in Scotland, flooding and extreme weather are currently some of the most acute. We have recently experienced a series of winter storms, causing terrible disruption to vital power and transport networks, and we know we face risks to human health, to biodiversity, to supply chains and to agricultural productivity and indeed food security. We know that a just transition to net zero requires action to adapt to these impacts, and that at the same level of priority as a focus on mitigation and on emissions reduction. Climate impacts are a lived reality, not a future threat. The challenge may be global, but the fallout is very much faced locally. This conference highlights locally led adaptation not only because people are experts in their own lived experiences, but because communities are already acting to adapt to and to address damages from these impacts, and we have so much to learn from them. So that's why Scotland is developing a pioneering, place-based approach to climate adaptation and our plans in this regard. Regional adaptation partnerships, such as the Glasgow Ready Clyde in Glasgow, are emerging in Scotland as dynamic drivers of local and regional action on adaptation. These partnerships, they are diverse, they are led largely by local governments in partnership with others, and they are independent from us in national government. Our Adaptation Scotland programme has also shared that learning and has supported other local partners to incorporate climate justice into their work. In the Outer Hebrides, Adaptation Scotland has brought together partners to understand local impacts and to develop local climate storylines that will resonate with people who live in this remote area. The Gobeshona conference asks us how we link local work onto the global stage, how local actions can help solve global problems. We can do that by showcasing the regional adaptation initiatives that are currently ongoing in Scotland, and we can showcase them to an international audience. This was part of our programme for COP26. The Scottish Government held a workshop on regional resilience, and that with the California State Government. We also participated in a British-Irish Council event on cultural heritage and coastal resilience. We will continue to shape our learning and shape it widely, and to support delivery of the Glasgow Climate Pact, using our position as co-chair of the Under 2 Coalition and indeed other partnerships. and with other networks. And we will do all of that with a view to mobilising engagement and indeed action. If our response to climate change is to be effective, and it must, it has to tackle existing inequality. Countries in the global north have an historic and moral responsibility to support our partners in the global south to the adaptation that they now increasingly need. At COP26, Scotland trebled our world first Climate Justice Fund to £36 million, and we became the first developed nation to commit funds, in this case £2 million, to funding for loss and damage. These are small sums in the grand scale of the issue, but we will use them to carve a path where others can follow. We are seeking to demonstrate what can be done in this regard and to set an example. We intend to fund loss and damage work that is aligned with local and national plans. Our ambition is to capture lessons learned from delivering against loss and damage for real-world application, to provide a template that can be used at scale. And of course, lived experience must be absorbed into the global evidence base if we are to move, as we must, from dialogue to a programme of work. Lived experience must be at the very forefront of this, shaping all that we do. Returning briefly now to adaptation in Scotland, we have acknowledged that more needs to be done in the face of the evidence on a worsening risk. To help shape our next steps, the Scottish Government hosted a National Climate Resilience Summit in the run-up to COP26, and this was for leaders across the public, private and third sectors to attend. The clear statement of ambition arising from the summit, alongside the work of our National Climate Assembly and our Just Transition Commission, will inform our future approach. We also recognise that there is scope to learn from local and regional practice internationally. No one yet has all the answers on adaptation and resilience in the face of this enormous global climate emergency. We look to Gobeshona for the models to help deliver that work, and we very much look forward to working with and learning from you. Thank you very much.